If it's got a Tottenham logo on it, then I collect it. Life as a Spurs collector.
Chris Cowlin. Fan cams. Club news. Transfer news. Match previews. Legend interviews. Spurs women. Press conferences. Covering everything Tottenham and England.
Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all keeping well. This is a new series called If It's Got a Tottenham Logo on It, Then I Collect It. Now, I'm a big Tottenham Hotspur collector. I collect anything from programmes to match-worn shirts to tickets to team sheets, you name it. I collect it, and I'm going to show you a little bit of my collection today. And if people enjoy this series, then I will do it on a regular basis. I'm going to show you and start with 5 interesting things in my collection. So just behind me here is the programme wall. It has about 6,000 programmes in the collection. It starts from the early 1900s and goes all the way through until the end of last season. So, of course, they are all in order and they are all in these official Tottenham Hotspur binders. And every single programme is in a protective sleeve. So the first interesting item today I'm going to show you is from the programme binder from 1992-1993. It is, of course, our first ever Premier League game. Let me give you a moment or two to try and remember our first ever Premier League game and the opponents. It was actually Southampton on the 15th of August, and this is exactly what I mean about the protective sleeves. Every single programme is in a protective sleeve so they won't get ruined or damaged. It was on the 15th of August against Southampton at the Dell, and the score 0-0. Our first ever Premier League game at White Hart Lane was actually against Coventry City, with this picture here of Darren Anderton on the front. Sadly, we lost the game 2-0. This was played on the 19th of August. Now, just to give you an idea of me collecting everything, and that goes for the programmes as well, because before that first ever Premier League game against Southampton on the 15th of August, we had various friendlies, and these are all of the programmes from those friendlies. Now, one thing I will say is that as soon as I go to the ground, either the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, or of course when it was White Hart Lane, or when we played at Wembley Stadium, or an away ground, I will always carry a folder. I quite often get asked by people, why are you carrying a folder? Well, I get the programme, I put it straight into the folder, so it is in mint condition. It then goes into a sleeve. It then gets filed into one of these binders. I don't actually ever read a copy of my programme. I will read someone else's because I don't want mine creased. Everything in my collection I would like in mint condition. So I could literally pick out every single programme one by one and show you, but that is going to be boring. So I'm going to move on to the next item. Now, the second interesting item I'm going to show you on today's video is a match-worn shirt. It comes in this wonderful presentation box, and the shirt was worn by former Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper and captain Hugo Lloris. He wore this shirt against Leicester City on the 17th of September 2022. Spurs won the game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium 6-2, Sonny scoring a hat-trick. Now, I have washed my hands, although this shirt is covered in mud. Of course, Hugo Lloris made many saves in this game, and Spurs ended up winning it 6-2. James Maddison was on the Leicester team that day, but this is a size large, and I tell you what, it is a wonderful item, one of my favourites in the collection. Of course, Hugo Lloris, an absolute legend. So before I move on to the next items, what's actually sparked me to do these videos is I actually met a very nice guy called John earlier in Romford, and he was getting rid of some of his collection, and he very kindly said, Chris, I want it to go to a good home. I'd like you to have it and merge it with what you have at the moment. And I tell you what, I'm just going through the boxes. He's actually given me 6 boxes of Spurs memorabilia, and there are some super items in here. So I wanted to film really me going through these items and sharing it with you. He's actually got these a collection here of Spurs news. And funny enough, it is the first thing that I bought, the first time I ever went to White Hart Lane. I asked my dad, could I have one of those newspapers? And this is exactly where we would get all of our Spurs news from. And the condition of these are incredible. It is like buying a newspaper today. This one here is from August 1988. It is called Spurs News. Of course, you now get your Spurs news with the 60-second updates on this channel. But this is where it used to come from. This was around for 1 month. So you'd have to wait a whole month before the next one would be published. Of course, this one is September 1988. This is where all the news used to come from. And of course, I remember those very expensive lines that used to ring up, getting all of the latest news as well. My mum and dad's phone bill was absolutely ridiculous. And they said, what numbers have you been ringing? No, it wasn't me. just to get the latest Spurs news. This one here, December 1989, and I tell you what, John has kept these in absolutely mint condition. It says here, Eric Torsvet is the Spurs Members Player of the Year for 1989 in his first year at White Hart Lane. Houghton is back. Some fantastic pieces. Now, I have a lot of these Spurs news editions, but if I do have them in my collection, I will always replace them for the ones that are in better condition. Now, going through this box, John has also got the Lily White magazines, and they are all in date order, and the condition that these are in are very, very good. When you think of how old these are, January 1973. That is over 50 years old, and these are in mint condition. So a lot of these, I do have some, but I need a fair few. I've just gone through the dates and I need a fair few of these. So John, thank you so much. A lot of these will be going in my collection in these drawers. Actually, that's where they're kept, all in date order. Now, one other thing I wanted to share with you that John has put in these boxes here, and this is an old scrapbook, Champions of the World, with Bobby Moore here with the World Cup in 1966. These are all clippings, newspaper clippings from the 1966 World Cup. Absolutely wonderful. I tell you what, I could read stuff like this for hours and hours. It is not just the England games either, it is all of the games. Absolutely wonderful. Great clippings, great articles. The goal that saved the World Cup. Eusebio bangs in 4. Look at that. Portugal 5, North Korea 3. West Germany 4, Uruguay 0. Absolutely fantastic. This report here, England in the final. England 2, Portugal 1. Eusebio scoring a penalty right late on in the 84th minute. Bobby Charlton put in England 1-0 up in the 30th minute, 2-0 up in the 80th minute. The attendance, 90,000. Absolutely wonderful. Some more fantastic pieces in John's collection. A lot of videotapes. This one is very interesting. Tottenham Hotspur v Arsenal is actually Arsenal v Spurs on the 11th of May 1993. We actually won the game 3-1. John Hendry scored a couple of goals. Arsenal actually rested a number of players ahead of their cup final, which was a couple of days later. It's the only time we actually won at Highbury, actually, in Premier League history. Of course, they then moved to the Emirates. But there are lots of videotapes here. I remember these on sale, and they were quite expensive at the time. You could actually buy the individual tapes for the games. This is from the 1992-1993 season, Spurs v Leeds. This one against Norwich. This one is quite an old one. Millwall v Spurs. The official Football League match video. This one, I remember this well. Tottenham v Fiorentina, Bill Nicholson testimonial game, 8th of August 2001. Now, John really has some wonderful items here in these boxes that I'm going through. I've just seen some more scrapbooks, this time for Tottenham. Tottenham, the best team in the business. And all of these newspaper clippings showing pictures of the Spurs players, showing player articles, showing the articles from certain games. This is absolutely wonderful. I tell you what, it is going to take me hours upon hours to read, go through and sort and merge into my collection. But wow, some absolute gems in here. We've also got some very old handbooks in here as well. This one is from the 1961-62 season, 62-63 season. And like I said, look at the condition of them. If you store these sorts of things very well, then of course you can keep them in very good condition. The trouble is, a lot of the time now, people put them in garden sheds or lofts. And of course, if you have a leak or they get damp, they can get ruined. But these have been kept extremely well. Of course, all of us collectors do have our different filing systems, but John's is very simple here. Lily White's 61-62, volume 12, September 61 to August 1962. And they, as I've said, are in mint condition. In this envelope, Lily White magazines, volume 9, 10 and 11, 1959 to 1961. Wow. Look at the condition of some of these. It is like you've just bought them in a shop. And these are from 1959. Incredible. So this was the official handbook from the 16-17 season. Of course, the last season at Old Stadium at White Hart Lane. Of course, spiral bound. This one is last season's. They've gone back to the perfect binding of the handbook. I much prefer these, a lot better and a lot easier to store. But one interesting thing that I've seen in John's collection here, he's actually got some books here in some old carrier bags from the stadium. Look at this. Spurs shop, 1 to 3 Park Lane, Tottenham, London, N17. Look at the telephone number, 01801 1669. And look at the other side. Wonderful stuff. Now, if you are a fellow Tottenham Hotspur collector and you would like to help me fill a couple of gaps in my collection, perhaps a programme that I need, a used ticket I need, a team sheet, a match-worn shirt, whatever you have, and you'd like to get in touch, please do email me, tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. So the third interesting item on today's video is this gangway sign, Block 11. This was actually used during the last season at White Hart Lane, the 2016-2017 season. I've also got one of the gangway signs that they used a couple of years before. So what about this? A wonderful collection of seats from the old stadium, White Hart Lane. Of course, the stadium was demolished after that final game against Manchester United in May 2017. These are very, very rare because, of course, they did sell some of the seats off to season ticket holders, but they were only singular. It is very, very rare to find these complete, especially 4 together. Now, these were executive seats at White Hart Lane, and these were actually removed from the Gary Mabbutt Lounge. Now, I'm lucky to have a number of seats from White Hart Lane in my collection. Now, when I meet ex-players, legends, I ask them to sign the seat and actually put on a personal message, and this one is one of my favourites. This one has been signed by former Tottenham Hotspur manager Harry Redknapp, but he has put this incredible message on this seat. It says, "I bet the people that have sat on this seat have seen some great games. I was lucky enough to manage this great club for 4 years." Now, I've got to mention this as item number 5 in this video because, of course, this is where it all started. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, me doing videos around the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, giving Spurs fans weekly updates on the building and the progress of the new ground. I was actually presented with this panel. This was actually meant to go in, but it didn't fit. So this one was actually left over, and the builders said, we're not going to throw it away. We're actually going to give it to Chris because he mentions panels all the time. Now, this is the ticket collection, but we will cover that in the next episode. Please do let me know whether you've enjoyed this, whether you'd like to see more episodes with interesting pieces in my Spurs collection, and I will see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and comment below, and I will see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.